India suddenly gave in to pressure from President Donald Trump and immediately cut several channels of cooperation with Moscow, aiming to stir political disruption.
Meanwhile, Ukraine kept launching a series of military strikes that shook Russian territory. According to the Foreign Ministry, after a tense phone call with Trump, India's Prime Minister made the cold decision to halt joint defense projects with Russia and pivot fully toward deeper cooperation with the US and the West.
Meanwhile, Ukraine kept launching a series of military strikes that shook Russian territory. According to the Foreign Ministry, after a tense phone call with Trump, India's Prime Minister made the cold decision to halt joint defense projects with Russia and pivot fully toward deeper cooperation with the US and the West.
In Moscow, Russian officials are facing mounting internal problems, dealing with fresh Western sanctions while fearing deadly threats from politically unstable Belarus. In Kyiv, President Zelensky urgently met with the General Staff. Chief of Staff Alexander Sinsky firmly declared that Ukraine would strike deep inside Russian territory with no off-limit zones. Ukrainian drones hit the grey Moscow ATA's airbase, destroying a reconnaissance drone warehouse and crippling Russia's surveillance capabilities in the south. In Belgorod, Ukrainian forces blew up a key bridge that carried gas supplies into Russia, completely severing that supply line. Ukraine's 7th Rapid Response Unit, led by Adisk, quickly launched a counterstrike, wiping out an entire group of Russian rebels attempting to storm Grosk province.
Indian refineries have also urgently halted purchases of Russian oil after Trump imposed heavy tariffs on Indian goods. Major companies like Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, and Hindustan Petroleum are restructuring their oil imports, buying from the US, Brazil, and Libya instead. Although no official government order has been issued, Indian refiners are awaiting guidance after the US slapped an extra 25% tariff on Indian products earlier this month, a direct response to continued Russian oil imports. Trump's latest tariffs are just the beginning of a broader US campaign to pressure Russian oil buyers.
Putin's troubles and a new threat from Belarus. Russian forces are gathering in Belarus under the pretext of preparing for the Zapad 2025 drills, a familiar Kremlin tactic to mask aggressive moves. According to Belarusian political coordinator Dmitry Bondarenko, this isn't just a military exercise. It could pave the way for a permanent Russian military presence in Belarus. If it drags on for months, it risks sparking new regional provocations. Bondarenko also noted that Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko has no real strategy and is desperate to cling to power.
Meanwhile, Russia has been steadily losing influence, from letting China quietly dominate Siberia and blocking access to Vladivostok, to being outmaneuvered by Turkey in the Caucasus and hemmed in by NATO in the Baltic. Like Brezhnev in decline before the Afghanistan invasion, Putin is on the back foot, but still capable of causing fresh disaster. The Russian military presence in Belarus is a wake-up call for the whole of Europe.
At a heated meeting, General-in-Chief Alexander Sinsky stated that Ukraine's command has a plan to go on the offensive, as victory cannot be achieved through defense alone. In an interview with TSN, he stressed that the goal is to inflict such heavy losses on Russia that they will have no choice but to back down.
Earlier, the Washington Post quoted an unnamed Ukrainian official who said that on August 4th, President Donald Trump told his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky during a phone call that victory requires going on the offensive.
In the same context, Zelensky announced a meeting to review the results of Ukraine's latest long-range strikes on enemy territory. These targeted specific military, logistical, and military-economic sites in retaliation for Russian attacks on Ukrainian cities. Zelensky posted on Telegram on August 7, 2025, that the meeting included representatives from the Armed Forces, the Defense Ministry's Security Service, and the National Security and Defense Council. According to him, participants reported on successes in hitting targets inside Russia, the cost-effectiveness of the airstrikes, and how they affect Russia's ability to keep fighting. He emphasized that Ukraine is increasingly weighing the cost of long-range weapons against the results achieved. He added that it's important to make Ukrainian investments in various long-range systems pay off by hitting Russian logistics and military infrastructure hard. Many of the facilities Russia uses to harass Ukrainian territory and support its war economy have suffered heavy losses. Zelensky also said new priorities have been set for continuing long-range strikes and expanding Ukraine's defense industry. He concluded by stressing that Russia's attempts to prolong the war will ultimately fail and expressed pride in Ukraine's soldiers.
Ukrainian drones struck the Belgorod ATA's airbase, burning a Russian K-model drone.
Satellite images confirmed significant damage to the facility, which Russia uses to launch long-range drones.
Ukraine's Cyberbus geospatial intelligence project reported that during the night of January 1st to 2nd, 3 structures used to store SAR drones were successfully hit.
Researchers observed unusual vehicle and drone activity around the damaged buildings.
Another structure used for drone assembly was heavily damaged, and multiple fires broke out across the airfield. Belgorod ATAs is regularly used by Russia's tactical air force.
A separate drone launch area near the main base was built to meet growing demand for attack drones.
This drone port has 3 small storage zones and 8 fixed launch pads, plus mobile launch setups from vehicles.
The base is defended by an S-400 surface-to-air missile battery with 6 launchers and 2 radar stations, which were active during the attack.
Researchers also identified 2 other Russian drone sites, one near Shimbal in Oryol region, about 175 kilometers from Ukraine's border, and another near Naplia in Bryansk region. The latter is smaller and relies only on vehicle-mounted drone launchers. A Ukrainian FPV attack drone destroyed a concrete bridge in Russia's Belgorod region that the Russian military regularly use for logistics.
The strike was carried out by the Sword-Heavy Mechanized Regiment.
This was the unit's first operation targeting enemy infrastructure with FPV drones.
The bridge was a key route for moving Russian troops and equipment near the border.
Russian forces had mined it with GM-62 anti-tank charges, but Ukrainian reconnaissance spotted them. The FPV drone, carrying an explosive warhead, detonated on the bridge, destroying it completely.
The strike also caused secondary damage due to the Russian-made munitions stored there.
Recently, Ukraine's 1st Territorial Defense Brigade also used FPV drones to destroy another bridge in Bryansk region. Ukraine's 7th Rapid Response Corps counterattacked and eliminated a group of Russian fighters who had infiltrated Khrossk district.
The mission's main goal was to concentrate manpower for the next offensive.
Coordinated action by the Corps and nearby defense units allowed them to detect and neutralize the enemy quickly, using drones, reconnaissance, and decisive ground action. The city's defense forces continue to monitor possible enemy infiltration routes.
Since May 28th, the 7th Corps has been responsible for defending the city, including the 25th, 77th, 79th and 81st Airborne Brigades, plus the 78th Air Assault Regiment.
The 25th Airborne Brigade is currently holding the defensive line in Kro district.
Elsewhere, other Ukrainian units have been redeployed along the front.
The village of Pekro has been fully cleared of rebel groups and is now under full Ukrainian control. However, the area remains under heavy enemy pressure.
Russian river-crossing assault regiments, the 55th, 30th, 87th and 433rd, continue offensive